Hi. Hi. Namaste. Thank you for tuning in to Psychic Frank's Mystery School. Um, and for those of you who are just tuning in, because I noticed it's growing, my viewers are words getting around, and I couldn't be more humbled and thankful. Thank you for sharing and some time with me. Um, yeah, I'm a psychic, a healer. I was taught years ago to use numerology and astrology because a lot of psychics. Someone just called me earlier, Herbert, and he asked if everyone is. What did I think if everyone was psychic? Yeah, I think we all are, and I think. We're all on different schedules of opening up. We're here in Earth School, and we're in the. I feel like it's these one-room schools where like all second grade to high schoolers all in the same room. You know, we're all on different stages, and we're all going to help each other. So the United States of America is in a 5 year because 2019 is 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a 3 year we're in. Um, just to recap where we are, like when you go to Golden Gate Park, there's that cement table with the map of the park, and it says you are here, and this is this is for the United States of America. 4th of July is our birthday, which makes it 11, and for the sake of math, we'll call it a 2. Um, it's a 5 year for us, and we're a 5 life path. The United States of America is a 5 life path. So this November is a seven vibration. So things die in a 7 year. Seven is rough. Seven is very, and we're just made it out, almost out, just a little bit out of November. We're almost out of November. We got the new moon coming up on the 26th. New moons are good. This is the Sag new moon, 4 degrees, 7:06 a.m. here in California. But I usually watch astrology videos on my computer. There's Pam Gregory, Rachel Spring, Kathy Rose. I mean, it goes on and on. I just happen to somehow gravitate to women astrologers, and they're all really easy to understand. And if you're into astrology, I recommend, because I use astrology to work with clients and myself, but I get the feedback over the years has been I'm just wasting my time because nobody who watches this really, the majority of the people, it goes phew, right over their heads. But so I urge you, if you want to enhance your life with astrology, the planets don't make things happen to us, they simply reflect what's going on. And so I get really psyched when I listen to these videos, and then I walk over here. It's a nice, healthy. Sometimes I walk instead of taking the bus, because you could walk anywhere in San Francisco in 20 minutes, And and so anyway, so this is so in 7 years things die. Things die in a 7 year. I'm just hoping Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, G. The great Ginsburg doesn't leave us this month. She hangs in there. She makes it through November. We gotta. Things couldn't be more intense. Okay, we're gonna get back to November, but as I said, I don't want to really talk that much about astrology, but you gotta know about the Pluto. Here it is. This is the Mountain Astrologer. Here we are. And this is for December 2019 and January 2020. Get it anywhere. I see it at Rainbow Grocery all over the place. Um, yeah, U.S. Pluto, United States Pluto return, magical elections for 2020, tributes to Tem, Uranus and climate change. Uranus is in Taurus. Um, but what Pam Youngham's says in the overview for December and January is da, 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 drum roll, please. The long anticipated Saturn Pluto conjunction is finally upon us. The baby elephant in the room is now full grown. it fills the entire space and must be dealt with. Okay, so Saturn's the structure, Pluto's the destroy the structure, and a whole new paradigm. We're having our first, since 1776, we haven't had a Pluto return. It takes Pluto that long to go around the wheel. So it starts, I see, in the 60s, Pluto and Uranus were in Virgo, preparing us for where we are right now. And now, where we are right now is Uranus is in Taurus. We've got 7 more years of that. We're just 1 year into it, and it's all about nature. This hasn't happened for 85 years. Actually, I have a friend who's in his 80s, and he has Uranus in Taurus, and I was looking at his chart recently, and I said, "Hey, Mikey, you're having your Uranus return." And he doesn't understand, but I tried to explain to him anyway. So, excuse me. So what Pam Youngham says she's quoting Dickens here. "A Tale of Two Cities floods the brain, quote unquote. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. Incredulity. It's like hard to believe what's going on. These 2 months anchored by January's big event." So yeah, so it'll be January 12th here in California at I think early in the morning there, or somewhere. Anyway, it'd be Sunday, the 12th of January, 2020. We have the first, and then from then until 2026, it's all about the Pluto return. So what it says here. The big event, the exact conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, the Sun, Mercury, and Ceres, that's an asteroid there, in Capricorn, all square. Squares are windows of opportunity, but nobody really, I don't believe, is thrilled with squares. We all want trines and sextiles, and even conjunctions are better than squares. Squares are hard. For my friends who have been worried about me, yeah, what happened was it was this January and February. All the big planets started squaring each other and conjuncting my moon and all kinds of things, and most of them ended. 2 of them ended Halloween that just passed a few weeks ago, and now on the 24th, in just a few days. Today's the 21st. Oh yeah, the sun goes into Sagittarius tomorrow. Today's the last day of Capricorn excuse me, of sun in Scorpio. Yeah, the sun goes into Sag 7 a.m. Friday tomorrow morning. Um, And so that's a big deal. And then the new moon, Sag new moon, is all about. I like new moons because they're all about pressing the reset button. And what I saw here in this month's October November Mountain Astrologer, um, it says Uranus is also a completion aspect to the new moon. This is November 26th. This is the sun and moon, 4 degrees Sagittarius. Um, to recognize that where anything is not working, equinox frequently represents a blind spot. We could suddenly see something previously overlooked and then feel enabled to take significant action. That's what's going on in Washington, D.C. with the impeachment now. Occasionally, this aspect reveals illnesses, but with Uranus involved, there's potential for help from an unexpected source. It is likely worth acting on an inner, yeah, this is interesting what's going on because Mercury goes direct tomorrow morning. Oh no, it was yesterday morning, 11:12 in the morning. Mercury went direct, 11 degrees Scorpio. Mercury, when it is spending a lot of time in Scorpio, Mercury goes out of Scorpio and into Capricorn on the 9th of December. But right now, Mars just entered Scorpio, so it's all about egos now. Mars in Scorpio, a lot of Pluto secrets, dark, ugly, like in Donald Trump's case, money laundering. Oh yeah, so we can count on before the next 2 months is over with Mars in Scorpio. Let's see where Donald Trump. I keep on saying Donald Trump. Um, Here it is. So here we are, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Oh yeah. So the Sag new moon is all about his fourth house. In opposition to yeah, things could yeah. An angry mob. It's not pretty when all these people turn on them, These people, I hope, will. I think they will. I'm being optimistic there. Cynicism is intellectual treason. Um, Let me see something else. What's going on here? Let me see. Okay, so I wanted to, first of all, being I won't be back here until, I hope you all have a nice Thanksgiving. I pray for all the turkeys that have lost their lives, not nicely. There's no kindness the way they slaughter our livestock, but their souls, nonetheless, sainted souls, I believe, who are. The Earth is a popular place to be. As much as we're in it, and it seems like, well, yeah, everybody wants to get here now because the potential for growth is phenomenal. Um, Love expands, fear contracts. Okay, so what we got now? Yeah, so yeah, we get a solar eclipse coming up on the new moon coming up in December, 4 degrees Capricorn. And let me see, Donald Trump. Yeah. So let's get right to the cards. Let's get right to the cards. Okay, I wanted to also mention something about the planets. This is a book written in the late 70s, Uh, Stephen Arroyo, Astrology, Karma, and Transformation. And he quotes Dane Rudger, may he rest in peace, who revolutionized astrology way back in the 60s with one sentence: there are no bad aspects or placements. Some are more challenging than others. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto symbolize forces that constantly prompt change and hopefully growth, in parentheses, in our consciousness. The eminent astrologer Dane Rudger, Rudhyar, has referred to the trans Saturn planets as ambassadors of the galaxy. And we're right in the. This was written in '78. This book I'm quoting from, and right now, 2019, the Earth and Jupiter are right in the middle of the galactic center of the Milky Way, and I believe come December, um, uh, the galactic center of the Great Attractor, which is like the it's bigger. It's a bigger black hole that encompasses, affects several galaxies, where the Great Attractor there is. The galactic center is just the Milky Way. So yeah, so all you have to do is open your crown chakra, and it's amazing what comes downloaded there. Yeah. So this is, we are literally, I quoted Donna Cunningham the last time I was here, where she said Saturn's, the shadow of Saturn is negativity, fear, nothing before its time, and then all the pros and cons. Yeah, fear is a good thing because it makes us, when we've done our work, then we don't have to be afraid of failure, so that's the good thing there. And then she said, and this was written again a long time ago, decades ago, that the rings around Saturn represent fear that keeps us in. And if watch any, I'm sure you watch little snippets of the news where, yeah, The dissolve. They say over the next few years, the Saturn rings will dissolve. They're already dissolving at an amazing head spinning rapid rate, and I believe because as we go towards the age of Aquarius now, the fear. See, we've been petrified by the shadows on the wall, and then we're turning around now. We're seeing the light that's making the shadows, and it's like, wow, it could have had a V8. Did they still have those commercials? I don't know. I'm stuck in the 60s. Practicing presence is how we're going to rally through this. Remember, I did a show, it's on YouTube a few months ago, about the super sane and the super insane. That's kind of negative, you know. There's just people that need a little more. I don't know. I don't know. A little more unconditional love. Who knows? Who knows? Well, that's the thing, you know. Practicing presence, and this is Carrie Walters, and I just want to recap as we close the year up now, because I only get like 2 more shows before the end of the year, and it says we have an unfortunate tendency born of fears. Uh, Intense securities. They call it the veil of tears. Walter's gone. Latino Walter. Yeah, he passed on. They showed it on the news the other day. For decades, I've always enjoyed Walter, and he's in a better place. And I still love the way he used to say Capricorn, and then he'd go Pisces for Pisces. He's a sweet man, and I love his love of astrology. His enthusiasm warms my heart just thinking about him. Brought many calm me a lot of times with his. He was on there for quite a few years. I used to see him on all the Latino stations there. Okay, we have, bless you, Walter, wherever you are, sweetheart. We have an unfortunate tendency born of fears, insecurities, and confused self-will to think of ourselves as mere things living in a universe of things. We fall into thinghood. The fall into thinghood, don't let that happen to you. The fall into thinghood alienates us from the recognition that we and the reality in which we dwell shimmer with divinity, bestowed vitality that can never be reduced to the dumb inertness of thinghood. This vitality that I call presence, caring, is a celebratory embrace of the presence that radiates from ourselves, from other persons, from predominantly from God. When we attune to it, we begin to live as presences capable of entering into deep communion with the presence of others as well as the presence of one mind. Yeah, it says learning to care for ourselves brings freedom and self insight. Only after we've learned to recognize and care for the true self can we learn to recognize and care for our fellows as well. Don't criticize ourselves. I always tell people, don't be so critical, and they always snap back at me real fast. I never criticize anybody, Frank. I'm not judgmental. You know me. I don't judge. I go, well, except for yourself. You're always judging yourself, and they put their heads down because I got them. I got you. My gotcha moment there. Only after we've learned to recognize and care for the true self. This is the next transformative stage of caring. The world encourages us to view others either as threats to our well-being or pawns to be manipulated in the pursuit of our goals. Use them and abuse them, turn them and burn them, but the discovery of our own true identity. We've got a president, a turn them and burn them prostitute. What is Nancy Pelosi, bless her soul, she called him the imposter president. Learn to care for others gives us with compassion and community. Yeah. To live in the present is to live in the presence, to see God in all things, and to see all situations, all moments, all interests, all desires in Mother, Father, God. Beautiful. Okay, so we covered that. The galactic is you don't need these devices. You got indescribable equipment Your senses just tune into them there. Um, oh yeah, I was at the library sale the other day. Those who watch the show know every Wednesday from 10 to 3 at the public library, the main library here in San Francisco Civic Center. They, on weather permitting, they put these card tables on the Polk Street side of the library, and they fill them with all these amazing books, all kinds of books, art books, fiction, nonfiction, children's books, all. You have to go through them, and they're all $1. And this one I thought was quite pretentious, and then I picked it up, and I thought, no, this is not pretentious at all. It says a guide for the advanced soul. I said, well, la-di-da. I guess I'm all full of myself here, Miss Susan Hayward. Hold a problem in your mind, open this book to any page, and your answer will be there! Exclamation point. A book of insight. And there's actually everybody from Rabindranath Tagore to Emerson, a lot of Emerson in here. Gratitude helps you to grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into our lives and into the lives of all those around you. Yeah, so many times people are a few laughs behind. To be upset over what you don't have, is to waste what you do have. Ken Keyes Jr. said that. Okay, so let me go through here. I circled some things. Experience. Yeah, I was looking for a quote and I couldn't find it, but I remember it in my head because I'm real big on Pema Chodron, Tibetan woman she's a white woman who's a voice of Tibetan Buddhism. And she says, nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to learn. So let's not waste our time, I suggest, cursing at the TV set. I mean, I do it. You got to remind you, I just was telling somebody, fear, I've said it so many times, and it's never too many times to remind ourselves. Fear is a very addictive substance. Yeah, it strips our stomach lining. It changes the molecular structure of our body. We're laughter, having sex, eating our favorite foods, doing things, petting animals, playing with our animals. These are all positive for our health and well-being. When you laugh in the devil's face, fear can't stand it. But fear is a very addictive worry. People have a worrying Jones. People. So many times I tell people, "Well, you have a worrying Jones." You get to the point. I found this little quote here. It says, "You get to the point where your demons, which are terrifying, get smaller and smaller, and you get bigger and bigger. But you got to make that little step there to be enthusiastic and make our courage bigger than our fears, and remind ourselves we have incarnated, even if we don't remember what choice we made. We're here, and don't." Let them club you into dank submission. Each player must accept the cards. Voltaire said, each player must accept the cards life deals him or her. But once they are in hand, he or she alone must decide how to play the cards in order to win the game. I have a plaque on my wall that says, thoughts are like waves. You have to know which ones to surf. There are always risks in freedom. The only risk in bondage is that of breaking free. I think people have just lost the spirit to break free. It's as I said, apathy is a real killer. Yeah, this was who looks outside dreams, who looks inside wakes up. Yeah, put down your devices, people. Put down your devices. Everybody, so many people, friends who aren't clients, and I can't go around giving free advice where it's not wanted. But so many times, people, in so many ways, one common denominator is they have an enjoyable experience, and then they want that to last. They're attached to that, and they spend. It could have been decades ago when they were a child or something, and enjoyment is different from attachment. Enjoyment is in the moment. Attachment seeks continuation of the moment. Like the other day, I was talking to a good friend of mine, and we were talking about what never good Mexican weed, where down to my sticks and stems again, blues back in the, and yeah, the no more. And then it was the paraquat, yeah, during the Nixon years there. They had they were spraying the Mexican cannabis with paraquat, this thing that made you sick, this toxic substance. And every morning on KSAN before it went country or whatever it is now, yeah, Alan Watts used to give lectures late at night on KSAN. It was the hippest station, KSAN. 70s radio, man, it rocked. And, and, um, yeah, and they'd have the paraquat report in the morning. We'd be having eating our granola in the commune, and and I've just got a flashback. We had a pyramid in the backyard. Then there was this thing where if you put your razor blades that you shave with under there, they sharpen. I don't know how that ever worked out, but we tried a lot of things back then. And the food conspiracy, we ate like kings. Vegetarian diet there. It wasn't vegan, I remember. A lot of the good cheeses and all that. So anyway, relax, be present in the moment. Each arising is a means of returning to instant present that rests on nothing. See, the whole thing I think that turns people up to the idea of embracing emptiness is they think emptiness is emptiness. No, remember I talked in my last show, on my last couple of shows now, that dark matter, 90 something percent of the universe that we don't see is dark matter, and it's something. It needs to be studied a lot more. And our brain, what their science has dismissed as dark matter, useless dark matter, is now, they believe, what makes people like myself psychic and sensitives, and plus all kinds of. But people, the whole idea now of seeing, I don't want to empty anything. It's not too attractive in a consumption society, where when when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. It's an addiction, It's just all this addiction. One of there was a comic years ago said, yeah, you can't have everything. Where you gonna put it? Where are you going to put it? So, okay, I got my cards here, because I always start the cards too late, and then there's just 3 minutes, and I feel like, so yeah, with one of my open-minded friends here, and give yourself a real pat on the back for, even if it's just for on the sneak, behind your partner, your roommate's back there, sneak some psychic from some fresh Frank, and but even Einstein said the most wonderful experience a human can experience is that of the metaphysical, these contemporary mystical experiences. And you really, really can't, tell your best friend about them, because it's like reheating the best cup of coffee you ever had. But yeah, and just, I believe mirror work. I believe in mirror work. How many people can't look in the mirror and say something nice about themselves, like, hello, gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to get centered. I'm going to go into my non-local space right now. Today is November 21st. And so all you Taurus and Scorpio people, be aware now, especially Taurus people, because Uranus is either going to be on your sun, is on your sun, or will be on your sun. And Scorpio, it's going to be in opposition to either your sun, or will be, or in the future. So either way, if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans, keep your margins really permeable is my advice. Yeah, you gotta, 99% of life is showing up. You know, at the end of the day, when you look back, I hope you get into the habit of reviewing your day and citing. Don't criticize yourself, but say, "Wow, I could have handled that a whole lot better." Okay, so what does the collective consciousness of anybody watching me need to know now about how they can rally through and what they need to know about? Right off the bat, I'm not getting that the Trump Republicans have a snowball chance in hell of remaining in the White House. That's what I'm getting. And I was telling a friend of mine who was in the mystery school with me years ago, and the teacher at the mystery school, Norma, said in one of the last readings I did for me in the mystery school, she told me I was using the cards as a crutch, and I admit she's right. I like the whole gives me something to do with my hands. I like the visual aid. They're great meditative tools. But a lot of times people will stop me on the street or in the supermarket, and I just go into my non-local space a lot of times and do a reading for them right there, and I don't have the cards with me, and they get it. Okay, friends, let's see what we have for you all. This is a gift. Ace of Cups. See these little things here? These are Hebrew yahs, unformed matter coming into matter. Yeah, these are amazing things. Um, I think a lot more people. I don't believe in polls. I believe when people want to get rid of this guy like a bad cold, like a summer cold. Yeah, this is the end of the nightmare now. This is could have had a V8. This is waking up, going swords or mind, and this is nines or completion. So 7 month is like a completion month, but things die in a 7 month. I just hope he doesn't die. I picture him having a stroke and bleeding to death at one of his rallies, and then he'd be martyred. Oh no, 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 no! I pray for his well-being and until he can get into a solitary confinement. As I said, Charlie Manson's gone, so he can't put him in the same tank with Charlie Manson. And but get him a nice roommate, maybe somebody. So, the other con, Madoff, who made off with all the money. Those two would be an odd couple. Imagine them sharing a cell. Oh wow. Yeah, I was watching an old Perry Mason or some detective show, and oh no, it wasn't a Perry Mason. It was one of those real unsolved mystery things, and they had a forensic doctor describing a narcissist how they get bored real easy. Oh yeah, Donald Trump is so over this presidency. He is bored. He wants new toys. He wants to be in peace so he can go. Whatever he does, so he can go to jail. Yeah, that's a fun experience. Okay, now's when you need to love yourself. Now's when everybody's grateful at a banquet. Now is when your soul really needs it. Hate to use the cliche inner child, but this is when your inner child. You don't like you say be afraid, be very afraid, because the end is no, no. It's going to be all right. If you don't believe in miracles, miracles can't happen. And believe me, we collectively need them. We've gone through so much as a country, and now today's big breakthrough was this. I think it's out there now that the Russians won because their whole thing was to divide America. Finally, everybody's sort of like been saying that, but nobody has had the platform to say that, the podium to say that simple sentence there. And now that that's out there, of course, maybe that will get through. Maybe it's a collective thing. So now is when walk like a man. No one's worth crawling on the earth. Yeah, it's all about. The subpoenas now out of the not subpoenas, but the yeah, I think it was the request for all the him to give his finances over. Yeah, and that's what's going to show the decades of money laundering that's been going on since the 70s, I believe. Uh, yeah, we're going through a dark night of the soul. There's not two ways about it. His epithet, his whole administration is be seen in the history books as cruelty was the point. And yeah, when you're going through a dark night of the soul, even personally and collectively, you're going through it to learn something. I don't believe in a sadomasochistic divine intelligence who says, "Oh, I just love when they squirm." No, no one can make you suffer more than your own unguarded thoughts. How about it? We're taping this show. I did it right. uh, yeah, all the sad cards. These are all fives. Yeah, this is a 5 year for America, and we're a five life path. Remember, George Washington and yeah, we. This is mysticism. You know, the belief that we're helpless. You know, it's sort of like getting the dog wired up in the cage, and every time the dog tries to leave the cage, he gets shocked, and then finally the dog just says, "Why bother him? I'll just sit here and die." You know, people are, you know, we're I don't have the book with me, but it's just it's believing that you're powerless. Believe me, you are not powerless. Human beings, you don't know what kind of courage you have till you have to have it. And I would have been dead years ago, but the minute I heard cancer, and I said, okay, I don't know what I got. I just use doctors as to get the diagnosis, and then I just, you know, do what I gotta do. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. And as I said on my last show, just to recap, yeah, you know, stress now, the whole thing is to see, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if I'm being paranoid, but I think there's a connection between the medical industry and the fear makers. There's this, you know, because they both profit by misery, you know. The medical industry would be powerless if we wouldn't get sick. And people saying, well, yeah, I'd like not to get sick. Yeah, well, you have to do some things. You got to start eating like an adult. You got to start, you know, there's, oh, yeah, here's in one sentence here. Just one sentence here. Yeah, you're eternally at your peak. That's your real life. If you live right and you die right, when you look in the mirror, you'll see yourself when you are at your peak. I love it. Love, remember, love is the only reality and is not mere sentiment. It is the ultimate truth that lies at the heart of creation. We've been raped by the science's assumptions. They've made an ass out of us. We've got a few more minutes here. Yeah, it says, I am a divine expression of life. I love and accept myself right where I am. Okay, there was something in here I wanted to say, reminded me about. Yeah, we're spiritual. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. If we don't deal with hate, this hate will deal with us. Yeah. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, consumed. Happiness is the spiritual experience of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. I live in peace, blissful joy, and happiness. Yeah, you know, this, if we didn't have Donald Trump, we'd have to invent him. Please don't eat the menu instead of the meal. We still have a few more minutes here. Yeah, there was something in this. I left that other book at home. Oh yeah, this is I meant to say. I won this. I did this at the library. I filled out a survey last summer, and it says Life, Liberty, Libraries. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, support your local library, please. I'm at my public library so often. Let's see if I just, because we just have a few more minutes here. Yeah, so I didn't want to get that into astrology, but I just want to remind you, Paradigms are changing. Remind yourself, change is not a bad thing. Things are happy in change. Change is the only constant. That's why, just bless change. Don't curse what you curse. You don't. It's not the way. It's not the way. Okay, let's see. Anything else my friends need to know? Uh, oh yeah, I thought Ralph Waldo Emerson. I can't get tired of Emerson. He always puts me in a good mood. Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Dive deep and swim far, and so you shall come back with self-respect, a new power, with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. Yeah, we came in to experience paradigm changes that only happen every couple of thousand years. This is not an everyday event, and so live long and rally through this. Make our courage bigger than our fears. And let me see anything else we got here. Okay, so with Mars and Scorpio. Get to I forget when it happened, but it was probably a couple 20 years ago or something, a couple of decades ago. I finally realized somebody I didn't like died. As you get older, more and more friends die. And then I realized. It was a hollow victory. Yeah, I was right, but I didn't want to win that way. And I sort of know that I don't argue with people anymore, and I did recently, and I still regret it. I'm still forgiving myself for that. It was a rite of passage, I'm telling you. As I said earlier, friends of mine who were concerned for my well-being. Yeah, it was. I'm still going through an adjustment phase. I believe the last little bits of it will be adjusting to this higher frequency. Uh, but uh, yeah, oh yeah, here, this is a good one. Henry David Thoreau said, "A tragedy of a man's life is what dies inside of him when he lives." That's worse things than death can happen to a man. Yeah, there was this one thing I meant to write it down and I didn't, and it was something about loving everyone, especially people like Donald Trump, and it made me realize, when I see that pathetic soul, you just feel so sorry for him. He's a very sick man. He's a very sick. He needs to be institutionalized, and that looks like after today now. And last couple of days with this impeachment hearing, let's see. We've got a few more minutes here. I saw somebody's head in the door of the studio here, and I thought, oh, I got to get out of the studio, but then I realized they're early, and let me see, how's this impeachment gonna go? How's Donald Trump? How's America gonna survive? Well, once again, I'm always afraid if I said. Because a lot of people do hang on every word I say, so I don't even want to, really encourage people not to vote. Yeah, even if you want him to win by a landslide, but the whole thing of no hope scares me. Like the other day, I was talking to a childhood friend grew up with, who was living in Canada with her husband, and man, I can't stand. Anyway, she said, Don, very matter of fact, Frank, she called me for my birthday, and she said, Frank, Donald Trump is going to get reelected, Frank. I said, what are you, crazy? I said, cynicism is intellectual treason. Stop that. So let's see what my guides want you to know about that. Okay, and then by then it'll be time to hang it up for now. Yeah, so anyway, if you're watching this on Saturday nights at 7:30 on Channel 29, which most people do, write down the number 861-6648-415 and give me a call. I'll be here, God willing. on Thursday the 12th, and then I will only do one show in December because they'll be closed for Christmas. The day after Christmas, the 26th would be because I'm here the first. Oh no, so I'll be here on the 5th and the 19th. So I will be doing two shows for you guys in December. And thanks for all the support. Yeah, and remember, it's everybody wants, I hate that phrase, you want to buy the world of coke because coke is a terrible substance. It might have been good when it was first invented and it had real cocaine, but it'll take the paint off a car now. I'll be at the supermarket so many times and I can't help but look at what other people. I'm not eavesdropping. It's just it's right there in front of me, and cases of soda. Oh yeah, I was looking for the thing about just don't eat soda. I was looking for this little thing I wrote down about the best thing you could do for your health. Only one thing you could do is stay away from juice and sugar, sugary sodas and juices, and everything else is idiotic as idiocy. Okay, excuse me. Yes, there's a lot of unemployed angels. People don't work with their angels anymore. They think they're Christmas, and that's maybe that's even a stretch, uh, and that's all about seeing angels as pimps for God, or I don't know. They sort of like lost the whole working with the divine. Like when things happen, the angels are, I don't think they enjoy hurting us, but a lot of times it's a lesser, I think it hurts them, but they have to like pull us out of something and that we really really want. It's time to learn now that Saturn takes us out of one playpen and puts us in a bigger, cushier playpen. So, whenever you're tempted to think of yourself as a victim, quickly use your throat chakra and get it straight. This is happening for me, not to me. Breathe that in and own it. Here I am doing the dance of life in the world. I respect the four elements. There used to be an Orby Beersley black and white Alabama painting, and on the top of it said, um, "A puff of keef in the morning gives you the strength of 100 camels in the courtyard." That's my religion. The American Indians, a white man goes into a church and talks about God. I light my pipe and talk to God. Yeah, we're here to be joyful, enjoy. So when you see someone having a hideous experience, which is not hard to do if you're living in San Francisco, there's a lot of people suffering everywhere. And you can't give, even if you can't go around giving money out. Even if you could, people would beat them up and take it away from them. But you can use your mind, the power of your mind, and the sacred heart. We all have a sacred, tender spot in our heart that just wants to acknowledge it. That's our job. We're supposed to put like a switchboard operator collecting of like, okay, angels, breathe in their pain, send it through your heart, and let it come out pure. Breathe in the bad and exhale the pure. And realize I've been there. I've been there. And if you haven't, you're missing something because the kindness in my heart now comes from being down. Years ago, when I was in my early 20s, and I think, I had just gotten out of New York City and I wasn't sure where I wanted to be. And I found myself, long story short, in someplace in northern Florida, Fort Myers. And this Marine I picked up at the beach, uh, he was an ex-Marine, and we got along really well. And I had this small little apartment, and we had no money whatsoever. I wasn't sure where I wanted to be. I ended up coming back to San Francisco, Anyway, we were hungry, and then there was a mission where they were giving out food, and so we had the money we had. We were going to spend it on weed, and we weren't going to spend it on food. Anyway, long story short, there was this Cuban guy, and he hated me. There was a whole room of mostly men, and he says, "You guys don't deserve to even eat this food." And then he looked at me. And he stepped up, pointing his finger in my face, especially you. You know, just a week before that, I was in New York City, at Sardis, and yeah, I just somehow was, I guess, a lost weekend. Found myself in this weird, and I just walked away from there. I'll never forget that guy telling these people to eat his food. He said he was giving you this food out of the goodness of my heart, and you guys don't deserve that. And these poor unfortunate people, ex-cons and literally people of color, in Fort Myers, Florida. I'll never forget that guy. That was why, as I said, I just turned 71, so we're talking decades ago. But how, it's not that I went to a dumpster to taste it, but I don't be that guy, Frank. We all have that kind of guy in us. um, when I had my out of body experience, I was humbled. And then it's so easy to lose that humility, because it's not in an upwardly mobile world. It's don't show any humility, or they'll get you. They'll get you for that. No. I think people are going to start. Facebook is bad. Zuckerberg's high school motto was "Run fast and break things." I believe our addiction to Facebook is bad, bad, bad. And just one out of many reasons why it's bad: the fact that it's friend and unfriend. You know, that's drastic. Nobody's an unfriend. I might be upset with my friends temporarily, but to unfriend people, or and they said, well, you don't want to see my grandkids. It's like they take you hostage. So I love you. Love yourself and have a happy, safe holiday. Don't drink, and if you have to, drink a lot of water in between your drinks, and smoke cannabis. Use cannabis products. I love you, and be kind. Be kind to everyone. Random acts of kindness, and just smiling at people just lights up their hearts. Yeah, it really does. Hope I lighted up yours for a little while. Namaste. I love you. I really do. Bye. Thank you.